Hello and welcome. This is Donna from Clever Crafting. Thank you for joining me today. So today I'm starting with a white card base that is 6 3/4 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches tall. Unusual for me, but to be working in the inches one, but I have some 5" by 7" cards I want to use. You can see I've just taken the skinny rectangle out of the birthday greetings, and I'm going to use that to create a track. I don't know what else to call it. I've just drawn a faint pencil line and I'm going to line up my track. I'll run that through my die cutting machine. Then I'm going to grab, because I want it longer, you can see here that I've grabbed it and I've just moved it further along and cut it again. This is actually a scrap piece of cardstock that I am sticking with just some washi tape on the back to cover up the hole, the track that I've cut out. You can only just barely see that track there. Now I'm going to make a scene. So, well, you know, not a stamp in my feet scene, but I'm going to make a hillside scene. So I've got a scrap piece of paper and I am literally just ripping out some, mountains. They're not the greatest mountains in the world, but they're mountains. You can see that I've also got a scrap piece of paper underneath my card. And I'm going to create the mountains. So this is something that everybody can do. It's such a nice, simple way of getting a lovely background. So, all right, so now that I've ripped that both end and I've got several different types of mountains, I'm just going to put that aside for a minute. And I am blending the blue at the top for the sky. Now this is broken china, a distress oxide that I'm using at this point. And I am literally just going to blend it and color it. I couldn't start on a blue card because I want different colored hills. So I decided to start on a white and do the colors that I wanted. So now I've actually got one of the bits of scrap you can see across. You can't see all of the blue. And I am using Distress Oxide in the pumice stone color to create the mountains. The reason being is that to give it dimension, you want the lighter mountains at the back and then they'll get darker the more you move forward. So there it is. There's the big reveal. You can see that I made a mistake. I should have actually had the mountains higher. So all of the blue was covered, the china, the broken china, but all I'm doing is blending there at the edges of the mountains, and that's going to work out fine. Works out just fine. So that's good. But I should have had them further up, all the blue further down. So now I'm grabbing just another ripped piece and I'm going to decide where I want those mountains. And now I'm using the Distress Oxide, is it sage? Something sage? I'll have a look. I'll have it listed below anyway, that I am using and doing exactly the same thing. And now look, you can see there's other mountains. Once again, I haven't really gone close enough, but that's okay because with that pumice stone, you didn't see me blending it. I did blend it in and it worked really, really well. So now I'm using mowed lawn. And I don't know if you can see, but you can see kind of through the mowed lawn. I wasn't overly happy with those mountains, so I came back in with pine needles, all Distress Oxides, and just went straight over the top. But with the pine needles, I'm blending it down a little bit because I decided I didn't want the whole thing that solid color at the front there, and that gives me a beautiful look. So happy days. Just going to color in. I want that background colored in because I don't want it to stand out too much. And so just in case it moves, you'll see in a moment, I've just colored around the extra edges of it. Now this is going to be our pull tab that's going to pull our train along. I want to make sure that that's the right color as well. And I'm just trimming the back piece. So I didn't need the full page for that back piece. And I've just trimmed it. This piece here, now this is very important. So I've got all of this in here. I haven't edited, I don't think, any of this part. This is the piece that I cut out originally. So effectively it's a 1 centimeter by 10 centimeter strip. But the die that I used cuts it at 10 centimeters by 1, so I could just cut it in half. And then I'm not wasting anything. I am scoring that at 1.5 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and 3.5 centimeters. And I'm going to fold it. So I'm taking the second score and folding it at, let's say, a mountain fold. And then I'm going back to the closest to the edge fold and making a valley fold. You can see I've already done the other one. It's behind there if you can see it. So I'm doing that on the other end as well. The second fold from the end is folding in a mountain fold, and that next one is going to be a valley fold. So it gives me this kind of shape. Yep, you can see that there. That's the shape we want. From this point, and we've done that with both of those pieces. So we had to score them both and we folded them both like this. Pop a bit of glue in that center there. And then we're going to push that flat. Now that's just the folded parts that are going in. It is not the flaps. Those flaps need to be loose because we're going to use them. So that's the design and that's the look that we want. These are actually brackets, I guess. And now I'm sticking the flat part, you know, that we stuck together. I'm putting that on the back of the train with the legs sticking up, and the legs at this point need to be going vertical. To make sure that I am lining them up perfectly, I am just putting a ruler there. I'm not going to draw a line. You can see I'm putting glue on the top of the other bracket, and I am sticking that nearer the front of the train. Not totally at the front, but nearer the front. Okay, so those little folds with the way that we did it will make them 1 centimetre that stuck to the train with those little legs. Okay, so that is looking just what we want. Now here comes well, this is all pretty easy. So this is smart. I think this is, I didn't design this, by the way. Well, I kind of designed some of it. So I'm just going to flip that over. So it's very smart. And we are just pushing those legs back down. We're grabbing our piece that we colored in and we are going to stick it to those little legs. So we want to make sure that that train is in the right place first, which it was because we pushed it right to the very back. And it won't go any further because that's where we've cut the hole to. We've given it a bit of space there. And I'm just going to plonk it on. Obviously this piece that we've cut here is wider than the hole, so I think that it's about 1 inch wide. So that's 2.5 centimeters and longer. So I put it where I wanted it to, so I'm just trimming off the rear of it, not the front part, but the rear of this, and trimming off the pieces that were overlapping from the bracket. You can see that I've already put a piece of double-sided foam tape along the bottom to keep it stable along the bottom, and then I did along the top of that as well. But I made sure that it wasn't stuck and it's not closed down. So I've pulled back, I made a mistake here, but I left it in. So I've pulled back the release paper from the back of the tape and then lined it up at the other end. But on this end, I folded it up the wrong way, like a big goose. Anyway, that's okay. I just used my wonderful handy pricking tool and just pulled it up and ended up pulling the tape out, the release paper out that way. All right. So that's how mechanism and our train put on, nice and easy. So I've just written the word pull on the end there and trimming off the rest of that strip that we've got there, taking the backing off the rest of the foam tape, and I'm going to put glue. I think I've already put glue on the bottom there. I cut that out. So I find that the best thing for me to do is stand up at this point and make sure that I'm getting a really good view from the top to get it nice and centered. And then we just push it down. Check our little mechanism. I mean, this is so fun to play with. Okay, so now all I've done here is I've added the woohoo, let's celebrate. It kind of sounds to me like a train. Well, in my head it does anyway. And I'm just pulling the train along. So nice and easy and a lot of fun. So once again, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I really hope that you learned something and you give this technique a try. If you want to see this and other versions of it, please head on over to our Facebook page. I'll put a link below. As always, I really appreciate you liking this video and would love for you to become a subscriber. All of that helps me out a lot. Until next time, stay safe and happy crafting.